washers, even though we got all the bolts. So I think I'm going to assemble it just loosely. I'll have to take the washers back out again to put the bolts back out again to put the washers on. It's not the end of the world. At least they'll all be jigged up ready. So yeah, diff's in. Just waiting on that bracket to come back for the back, and then we go. Sorted. Front setups on now, looking pretty sexy. We've got these coming to do that Triumph, do the wiring because I don't want to do it. Yeah, carry on buttoning at the front, and then we can work towards the back. Then I'll just temporarily cable tied the diff, rear end of the diff up, in case we need to move this forward. I think we should be okay. Right, uprights next bit. I think we're getting there now. So front is assembled and not tightened or anything. I'm still waiting on the correct washers, but we should be able to put weight on it. Bottom ball joints and all that are tight, so we should be able to put weight on it soon. Both wishbones are on this side. Got one in on this side. Wishbones on the front were new, so they came with nylon washers, which I've managed to. I'll put some in. I don't think they're going to do anything, but yeah, last wishbone, rear uprights, drive shafts, and drop it on the wheel again, Nice. that's it for one day type situation. I've also had to knackers. That bracket there goes on the rear of the diff, and it bolts. The 4 holes are 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one goes through this bush in the chassis. It's physically impossible to get that bracket into that space. Which, bugger. So what it means I need to do is take those bolts back out, these ones, okay, which locate the front end of the diff. Then I should be able to lift the front of the diff up, slide it forward slightly, because I only need like ½ inch, but it's physically held there. There's no way of moving it. Correct washers should be in tomorrow, so we'll quickly run round and swap them. Then we can talk things up. Decided we just, because the bottom ball joints, the ones we put in are from a Lada Niva. They're not the correct ones, and they're good, but they haven't quite got enough articulation. So obviously your camber's not adjusted. It's supposed to be in the middle of that slot. And when I fitted these wishbones originally and the new ball joints, I had to put a hell of a lot of force to pull it in to get it in the correct position. And it's because we're running out of movement on that ball joint. So we've decided we're going to swap to the correct ball joints. So he's going to order those now. So tomorrow I'm going to go home and do a bit of research on brake line routes and go back through my pictures. Fuel lines I'm not going to put back in until the engine, because it comes over the gearbox from that side of the chassis over to here. I think that's going to get in the way. But overall, bar a few little problems, we're cracking, moving in the right direction. I think that's probably it for now. Obviously be back soon because I want to get this one finished out the way. And now that'll roll, I can move that out the way and I can do the last few repairs on the MGA chassis. Take the engine box back out, seam weld the rear gearbox mount, change the battery boxes and change this rail, and then that can go for paint. And then everything's pretty much ready to, when it comes back, to make that a rolling chassis. So we're starting to, Jason popped in and he's probably done about 70% of the wiring that needs to be done on that. As soon as I'm only down to do, well, I set it out the gate out with the wiring. When all the lights work and everything, that can go back. As soon as the TVR chassis is finished, obviously the body can go back on the chassis. That's bit sorted. That's my mate's bumper. That can go in the storage room as soon as I got space. And while the TVR's stripped down, obviously that's the engine, that's the gearbox. It's basically taking the space of 3 cars out. So the quicker I can get it back together and get elbow room. Still waiting on some parts for the green MGB up there. And I need to order the wheel arches for this Figaro. But yeah, we're alright. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, yada yada yada. It does make a difference. Nice comments. Well, the vast majority of the internet is not nice comments, so whatever comments you want to leave, really. And yeah, that's it. Latest. Come back to the TVR project. First job of the day was to get that bracket on, which, as I said yesterday, there isn't enough room to get it on, so I had to drop both front mounts off and the plates off the front of the diff to move it up and across, up and forward. It's in now, just needs tightening everywhere. We've got the correct nickel plated 7/16 washers now. So we're just going to fly around and change. All the ones that can change reasonably easily are going to get changed. A lot of parts are coming today. Handbrake cables coming today. Hopefully rear crank seal, rear gearbox mounts. So possibly we might get the engine back in today. At the very least I want to get all the brake lines run. If the handbrake cable comes, the rear calipers can go on because they need to be off to hook them. And yeah, and we'll go, oh, hopefully, no, I've ordered the front ball joints, but they're not going to come today, because you only ordered them today. But yeah, so fly around now, change all these washers, the M12 ones I put in yesterday. Do I change them? See, that washer is slightly loose, if you notice. It's a bit OCD, it's a bit far, it's hanging down, rather than being central. I'm going to change those ones anyway. No, sorry, I'm going to change them. Right. Back in a minute. Hello. I haven't done much filming today, really. Getting towards the end of the day now. Progress today. Right. Oh. Okay. Took the diff back out so I could fit that bracket. That might be on the earlier clip, in which case I apologise. Worked out we'd lost the sliders for the rear calipers. Cross-reference the calipers are 4x4 Sierra Cosworth calipers. Found a car for sale on eBay. Used our registration number in the motor factors at the end of the road. They managed to get them within, I don't know, 3 hours. Fair play to them. They did say when I walked in, like, do you think it's the 90s? We can't just get this stuff. And then he rang up and the guy went, yeah, got 2 in stock. So he got there maybe about 3. So rear calipers installed correctly. Handbrake cable turned up a bit later, so that's all installed now. That was a pain in the ass. On the back, have I done anything else on the back? No, other than just changing all those bolts and refitting the diff. Changing the washers, refitting the diff and handbrake cable, that's the back. Front, again, changed all the washers. Stripped out the bottom ball joints on either side. They should be in the morning. So that'll be cracking. Next, because we had an order of parts turn up then. So I don't know if I showed you this. I was struggling. This is the crank seal, which goes behind the flywheel. That's the old one I took out. It wasn't leaking, but we were in there. And when I started putting the new one in, we started ripping there. And that's the last place I want an oil seal. But when you look at it in profile, if I try and get it straight, there's a good bit. It's sort of bigger on the edge that needs to go in. This is the replacement one from Race Tech, which this is the edge that goes in. You can see it's slightly chamfered in this direction, which is exactly how we want it. So I'm going to put that in now, so I know that's done. New ball joints coming in the morning. We also had, what else did we have? Oh, did think we lost the rear gearbox mounts. It turns out we hadn't. They're there. But we ordered some polyurethane ones. Inlet manifold has all been cleaned up. I didn't do that. I took that home. My dad did that for me. Well, for him. It's his car. As you can see, I've changed it a minute. Like those are body bolts, which are all going to get replaced. Other than that, everything on that table, we've put new in, as well as there's a load down there as well. I put the new front caliper. Put the front calipers on. I haven't got my 7mm Allen key, which anyone who's ever done brake pads on a Cavalier will know they're 7mm. I haven't got mine with me. It's in the van, so they, I admit it looks terrible, but they're cable tied on just to stop them jangling about when I took these ball joints out. So they should be here tomorrow. They can go, ball joints can go back in. Then we can tie the front suspension up, and that'll be done. I'm going to put this rear seal in now. If that goes in successfully, I know what I need to do tomorrow then. Flywheel can go on. Flywheel can go on. Gearbox, thrust, clutch, thrust bearing, all that stuff. Gearbox can go on then. Then what we'll do is valley gasket along with the two ends, which are that bit there. Inlet manifold can go back on. Alternator can go back on. Drive belt, I was going to say timing belt, it's not timing belt. Drive belt can go on. Sorry, I got a cold. Rocker covers can go on. And that will be, I might try and do all that tonight possibly. That will be, no, I'm not, because I quite like having a plan when I come in the morning, which is something you can crack on with, and you know I've got to do this, this and this. I've found if I haven't got, you can look at things for an awful long time if you're not careful. So now I've got a plan. When the ball joints come, they can go on, tighten those calipers, springs on the outside of the caliper, that'd be great. I'm going to do the seal just so I know that it fits, and I'm not lying awake panicking about it. I think it should be okay. Bung that in, and that might be us for tonight. We finished off the electrics on the Triumph. Everything's working now. We found out where the petrol leak is. As you can see, someone's been here before to this breasty shirt bit with a nipple on, which is actually the drain down point. There is a fiberglass patch, which hasn't worked at all. You can't seal a fuel tank with fiberglass. So the metal doesn't seem too bad in other places. So I'm going to order tonight a petrol tank refurb kit, which is like a cleaner prep solution, and then some sort of non-petrol soluble paint, which you pour inside the tank and then tip the tank around. What I'm going to do is cut a square plate out, seam weld it in, so it's just a flat plate. You won't have a drain down point, but it's not the end of the world as far as I'm concerned. Then I can give him this back, running, driving, no dramas. His interior's not finished, but it came to me. I just said I'd help out with the electrics, and I never got around to it. It's one of my dad's mates, so Jason's helped me out favour for favour. You know how it goes. Yeah, I think that's it. So, a number of people are coming today and said what I was thinking. Unfortunately, it's going to be such a shame to put the body on this chassis because it looks gorgeous. I did even semi-jokingly say to my dad, do you want to just have the chassis at the house in one of the garages there for a couple of weeks, just so you can stand and look at it for a bit before it gets covered up? But he wants it done, thank God. I'm glad I didn't go for that suggestion, because that would have meant that body is still there for God knows how long. But tomorrow, finish off the last bits on the chassis. Connect the engine and box, put the engine and box in the chassis. Then we've got, along with the prop. And then radiator goes on afterwards, fuel tank goes on afterwards. We are not a million miles away, other than these bolts which were short, which we ordered, but whether they'll come by the weekend, hopefully they will. The body can go back on. So I'm going to go around with a tap, clean all these out where they got paint in, which I had a fair amount of problems with the front edge of this diff, and that was just because I didn't tap it properly. Well, I didn't tap it at all, and it was full of paint and dirt and rust and crap. Took it back out again, retapped it, cleaned up the edges so the brackets are going flat, and it was no problem then, which I do say to all sorts of people, if you're going to do it, tap it first, but didn't follow my own advice. Standard. So yeah, we'll come back to this tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be one step closer to finishing it off. It looks wonky. I don't think the floor is flat. It looks like it's sort of down a bit that side, but nah. Anyway, so on to the. It'll be tomorrow, but on to the next bit. Latest.